problem. In a 1993 survey of 560 college students, 171 said that they used illegal drugs during their previous year. In a recent survey of another 720 college students, 263 said that they used illegal drugs during the previous year. Use a 0.05 significance level to test the claim that the proportion of college students using illegal drugs in 1993 was less than it is now. So let's look at the claim right off the bat. The claim is that the proportion of students in 1993 is less than it is now. So let's write out that claim using symbols. So our claim is that the proportion in 93 was less than it was for the proportion now. Okay, so where will that claim go? That claim will go in as our H1. Why? Because there's no equal to. So again, I'm going to use the P, the proportion for 1993 is less than the proportion for now. And I'll label that as my claim. That means the null hypothesis H0 should be the reverse. The complement should be that the proportion for 93 was greater than or equal to the proportion for now. Because again, the H1 and the H0, the null and the alternative hypothesis should be complements. Now the question is, what other information did they give us in the problem? Well, they gave us 0.05 as our significance level. That's our alpha. They also gave us two proportions. They gave us one for 1993, and that's the one I actually want to use first because that's the one I mentioned first in both my claim and my H0 and my H1. So that's what's going to be my X1 and N1 because it's my first set of information. So when I go to my calculator, I have to give an X and an N first. It always has to be with what I'm mentioning first in my null and alternative hypothesis. So my X1 is, remember, if you're thinking this as a fraction or a proportion, the smaller number goes on top, so that would be the 171. The N is the total, which is the 560. Now, the second set of numbers we're talking about, which is what happened now, that's the recent survey. That's the now part. Should be listed as your X2, N2, X2, N2. Well, again, the X should be the smaller number, the number that would go on top of the fraction, which is 263. And the bottom number would be the total, the 720. So let's see what this is going to look like when we run. Again, we have two proportions, our two prop Z test in our calculator. Notice, because we have a less than, it's going to do what kind of test? A left-tailed. Because that's what's in our alternative hypothesis. So let's go ahead and look a little bit forward and see how our test is going to look. So here's our two prop Z test that we're running. Again, we have our X1 and our N1 just as we said they would be. And we have our X2, N2. And then we have our symbol from our alternative hypothesis, which was a less than. That's what's going to tell us, or it's going to make the calculator do a left-tailed test. Then go ahead and click on your last option here, which you can't see it. It says calculate. Select that and press enter. Okay, when you press enter, you're going to get two pieces of information that we care about. A Z and a P. Remember, we only want to use the Z if we're doing rejection regions. That would be your test statistic. We'll talk about that in just a second. But if we're just doing the p-values and alpha method, Then we just need the p, which is 0.012. Well, remember what our question is always the same. So this is our picture. We got a p-value of 0.012. This was our test statistic, our negative 2.25. Again, that was a z-value. But the question is always the same for p's and alphas. Is p less than or equal to alpha? Well, remember that p was 0.012. And alpha was, what was it? It was 0.05. So is p less than or equal to our alpha? Absolutely yes. So what does yes mean? As a reminder, yes meant that we would reject H naught. So as a reminder, what was H naught? Well, H naught was, let's see, H naught and H1. Let's see. Well, we actually had that our claim was H1, which is the proportion for 93 was less than the proportion for now. That was our claim, which meant that the null hypothesis was the greater than or equal to the complement. So by rejecting H naught, what does that mean that we're actually going to do for the thing that's below it? Well, for the thing that's below, we're going to do the reverse. The complement, we will accept H1, which is where our claim is. So, because we're actually doing something here, we're going to say there is sufficient evidence to do something. Sufficient evidence to do what? We are accepting or supporting our claim that the proportion for 1993 was less than a proportion for now. And that's our